Sweden, Tanzania, 63 years. A country on the opposite side of the earth spent over 6 decades and over $10 billion in grants building a friendship with an African nation that most of its citizens may never see. And the question is how and why. Agriculture, school books, hydropower, the stock market, democracy and human rights, clean water, the railway, the National Museum, even a dance school. These vast figures are hard to hold in the mind. 63 years is too long to summarize. $10 billion too wide to picture. So to understand this partnership, we must see it as it was lived, slowly, pole pole, through the people who were there. Let those who did the work and those whose lives it touched bear witness to its successes, its lessons, and its purpose.
Yes, oh, I love this question. One of the first Swahili expressions I learned was pole pole kama kobe.
We've been friends for much longer than the young people have been alive.
My name is Princely Hope Glorious. Come with me as we trace one of Africa's most enduring partnerships, searching, perhaps impossibly, for the right word to define what Sweden and Tanzania have built together since 1963, just 2 years after Tanganyika's independence. How deeply this thread of friendship and impact runs, how it thrives in places you may have seen but not known, surprised me. And I think it may surprise you too.
However, traveling around in almost all parts of Tanzania, I've met so many organizations because we always work through Tanzanian organizations. I've seen so much beautiful work being done by these organizations that really benefits people.
I think there is a huge achievement made at local level in Tanzania. The only problem is that we don't talk about it. So if a Swedish taxpayer comes, he won't see any visible sign saying this is Swedish support, even at the National Museum there, unless you go in and talk.
Walking through this history, one thing stands out. Sweden never shouted about its presence, but the partners they worked with can tell you about the qualities that made this partnership so profound and long-lasting.
I think a really crucial contribution made by Sweden in its engagement with civil society in Tanzania has been summarized in one word: trust. They have trusted us to know what are the most important things that we can work on in order to advance civic space, civil liberties, democracy, citizen engagement in how government works. Engage with us in terms of what your strategy is and how you propose to do this, and we shall give you the resources to do so, but not interfere in how you do it. And that is a really valuable thing that funders and supporters can give to civil society organizations.
And therefore, even in our discussions that we have at PASS, when we have certain projects that we want to do or certain developments, product developments we want to do, we have SIDA on mind in terms of giving them a call. You know, we are looking at this, we're trying to do this. Can you work with us as a partner in that? And as I say, the involvement in Tanzania is extremely significant, and through PASS, major, extremely major.
Minister Nyerere, he will be Prime Minister and preside over a cabinet.
And the history here runs deep. Sweden was among the first countries to recognize Tanganyika's independence. The day before this nation's flag was raised for the first time, the Swedish Prime Minister wrote to Mwalimu Nyerere. We made a copy of that letter and took it home to Butiama, to his son, Madaraka Nyerere.
And it reads as follows. His Excellency Mr. Julius Nyerere, Prime Minister of Tanganyika, Dar es Salaam, on the occasion of the proclamation of independence of Tanganyika, I have the honor to inform you that the Swedish government recognizes Tanganyika as a sovereign and independent state. What stands out from this letter is a realization that given then, back then in 1961, the Prime Minister of Sweden was already speaking of establishing close links of cordial friendship.
Even before Tanganyika was a nation, Swedish missionaries and educators, among them Mama Barbro Johansson, were already laying the foundation for this friendship, even supporting the fight for independence itself.
We decided in Tanzania that we women of Tanzania, in fighting for our rights within the context of the UN program, the Beijing Platform of Action, we decided to honor Mama Barbro by establishing a school which would be a center for girls' excellency, but offering modern education. And we would name that school after Mama Barbro Johansson.
Through programs like the Education Program for Results, Sweden has contributed to the systemic transformation of Tanzania's education sector. With a focus on building the capacity to deliver quality education, things like governance, the number of teachers, and the number of pupils per classroom. The kinds of things that make education tick.
Sweden has done a lot at supporting particularly the training of economists. Most of us were trained in Sweden. Even our current Minister for National Education, Professor Mkenda, is from the Gothenburg University.
Beyond any single example, whether it's improving access to girls' education, exchange, research, partnerships, and higher learning, Sweden's hand in supporting Tanzania's education sector is far-reaching and undeniable.
And the University of Dar es Salaam, if you look at the external funders, SIDA is the biggest. They take the lion's share. If you look at the research budget for the past 30 years at the University of Dar es Salaam. Through those years, the university has benefited from capacity building. We have seen a lot of PhD graduates, master graduates, and even postdocs. What is more important is the collaboration, partnership with the great universities in Sweden. And we have seen young people graduating, producing papers with very high quality.
Sweden has had multi-decade cooperation with Tanzania, especially University of Dar es Salaam, and a strong workforce has been created. I think continuing collaboration is important, but how that collaboration looks like, it's up to us.
It is up to us. The question of sustainability, how Tanzania ensures that the benefits of this cooperation can scale and last, is a difficult one to pin down. But there is an inkling of an answer.
First of all, at a conceptual level, sustainability means self-reliance, because the people must finally be able to continue when the donor is gone. So I can say that the Barbro School is just a living proof of sustainability. But sustainability requires local engagement, participation, and I must say resolve from the outset.
Power, energy, the solid bones of any modern state. Sweden has been a part of Tanzania's energy story for over 40 years now. Many Tanzanians, especially those in rural areas, have access to electricity through Sweden's cooperation. The Kidatu Dam, Pangani Falls, rural electrification, renewables, even TANESCO, the national utility.
I can remember that Sweden was the first country, not one of the first country, but the first country to pioneer rural electrification in some areas. And I remember areas like Makambako, Urambo, Serengeti, I remember Simanjiro, and some other areas in Tanga, where they put their own money, and their mode of doing rural electrification was quite different from what we were doing. We were comparing our projects and the projects financed by SIDA, and we learned that the projects financed by SIDA had bigger impact than our projects because more people were being connected. And when we started adopting the SIDA way of doing rural electrification projects, that is when we also started seeing many people being connected in those projects.
Since the 1960s, Sweden has partnered with Tanzania to transform its energy sector, notably helping establish the Rural Energy Agency and building critical power infrastructure. Through these joint efforts, over 3,500 villages have been electrified, bringing light and opportunity to Tanzanians all across the country.
I've been to faraway villages which have received electricity from mini-grids, so quite simple technological solutions, but enabling villagers to have electricity. And I remember an old lady, I don't remember her age, but she was old, and she was living by herself because her children were grown up, had families, and she got a light outside her house and one inside. And when she spoke about how it was to get electricity, you know, being able to cook and do dishes outside her house and see, it was so beautiful.
Women and girls, their education, their rights, well-being, and thriving have been at the heart of Sweden's work and approach in Tanzania. Before a girl can think about a classroom, her family has to think about water. Who fetches it? How far? How long? For 16 years, from 1985, a program called Hesawa carried clean water into the rural north. Health through sanitation and water. The name was the whole theory, and the people it changed most were the ones no one was counting. Girls.
I think for women is also an entry to reducing gender-based violence, because you're less dependent. And we know that the more dependent you are, especially financially, the more likely you are to experience abuse. And so education is also one of the gateways to save women and girls. But also education helps to keep girls in school, so they don't have to get married early or have children early, because educated women, upper studies, are less likely to get married early first because they're in school, but also have children early. But also when they do have children, they have health children because they have the means to be healthy.
When it comes to gender policy, we also know that it's not only about representation, but you need to have rules and regulations that supports women's empowerment and resources.
The hardest thing in development is not building the project. It's building the community that keeps maintaining the project after the funder leaves. Sweden learned that early.
The support from SIDA is actually helping TAHA or supporting TAHA to advance our services to these many farmers in the country. And the services that we give them include, like what you are seeing here, capacity development so that they can produce according to good agriculture practices. They can be certified so that they can comply with the market requirements.
Stories like this one, each a stand-in for the millions of Tanzanians whose lives have been touched by Swedish impact, were everywhere I looked.
There were other borrowers in Wanging'ombe. There was a lady who I remember again talking to her, and she was there telling us, you see, the first loan I was able to build a foundation for my house. The second loan I've been able to put up the house, and now this latest loan now I've been able to put a fence around the house and buy a tractor.
And if you look deeper, you find Sweden's hand of friendship in Tanzania's civil society, democracy, and human rights.
Now it is like 25 years since Sweden started supporting us. And imagine LHRC is just 30, and Sweden is 25 years supporting us. So it supported us during an infancy stage, when we were like 4 or 5 years. So it's one of our, when we say LHRC, we commemorate anything about LHRC, we can't miss mentioning SIDA, because it was there since inception. Up now we are a big organization. In each district of Tanzania we have a representation, and we have more than almost 1,000 paralegals working with the communities. We work with them together, and they're also human rights monitors. We call them Friends of Haki. Haki means rights, so they are defending rights at the grassroots. As LHRC, as I mentioned, 25 years of support, consistent support. SIDA was one of the best donors we might find. Whatever LHRC has achieved is because of SIDA. Human rights movement in Tanzania has been built by LHRC through partnership with SIDA. 25 years ago, you could not mention human rights. No one would understand human rights. But now, you see various movements. People are saying tunadai haki zetu, and things like those, because we've instilled that human rights sensitivity in people through SIDA's support. I would say human rights culture in Tanzania has been built by SIDA. Currently, we are having four big legal aid clinics. Actually, LHRC is the biggest legal aid provider in Tanzania. Every day, we receive about 100 clients. From those 4 offices, 100 clients, and they are being supported with their legal-related problems. So I would imagine without support of Sweden, those 100 clients would miss their rights. So that matters a lot, because now our clients' rights are being realized in courts of law because of the support. That's only one example of how the work of Sweden has brought a lot of impact in Tanzania. A lot of women have been reclaimed their right maybe to land, issues of probate, maintenance of children, the right of children, in many cases. Also civil and political rights. People being arrested without any cause, people being abducted. We've responded to many issues on human rights. But that could not be done without the government of Sweden supporting us. Yeah.
Sweden's reach went into the systems that run the country: the Bureau of Standards, the Central Bank, the Tanzania Revenue Authority. For decades, the Swedish Tax Authority worked with TRA, the Swedish National Auditor's Office with the Auditor General, building institutional capacity, contributing to a robust financial management system and macroeconomic stability for Tanzania. Of all the things Sweden built in this country, none is less visible on paper, yet none more visible to the eye than what happened in the cultural sector.
What you see here and what you see this the whole idea of Moda, this it was a seed which was planted in Sweden. By me going to Sweden, and not one time, many times, performing in many places, we thought like, why can't we start something like this in Tanzania?
They toured, and then they created a dance performance for the ages.
It's just like SIDA, Sweden funded the policy for culture in Tanzania, the national culture. Sweden funded the Bagamoyo College, especially when it was burned down and came up. Sweden funded the building of the National Museum, and then put a trust fund, the Culture Trust Fund, so that artists, range of artists, can get fund to be able to be self-employed, to promote their products and services, and that's huge.
After 63 years, the chapter is now turning. A new page in the same book of Swedish-Tanzanian friendship. What is changing is not the commitment, but the form it takes. Sweden and Tanzania are broadening their relation into a more modern strategic partnership for the future.
Well, the ending of bilateral cooperation strategy might sound more drastic than it is. We're going to have a substantial embassy here working on, of course, political affairs, as we always do in any embassy. Keeping up the dialogue with the government here on regional affairs, global affairs, and the many topics that we need to address together nowadays. And of course, economics, because I know Tanzania now wants really to focus on economic development and trade, so that is also going to be our focus. I foresee that we will try to enhance the student exchanges between Tanzania and Sweden. Research cooperation is still going to continue between our universities. Also GPE, which is Global Partnership for Education. We are still what is called the grant agent, which means that we are supporting the government in the implementation of this enormous fund for the educational system. So you see, we are going to be quite present.
Sweden really has played its trust in terms of supporting government and has been a true partner. It hasn't imposed, but Sweden has been a true partner to Tanzania, and it has responded to different needs and different particular times.
The overarching goal for Sweden's development cooperation has always been simple: to fight poverty, and through that, to improve the lives of people living in poverty and oppression. This is a goal rooted in a deeper commitment to human rights, to gender equality, to development that lasts. And that commitment takes shape through 5 core values: development effectiveness and poverty reduction, economic empowerment, human rights and democracy, gender equality, environment and climate. And this is not a list of abstract ideals. These values are the foundation of a partnership built on trust and respect.
The important thing is that it has been a friendship not of, I'm going to use this word, paternalism, of we are better than you and so therefore we're going to dictate to you how to run your things. It's been a friendship, like I said, with access to our, but I think also as a country, of trust and of shared values, of building social cohesion, of building a fair society, of building a society in which people have a voice and can be the agents of their own development.
Today, this friendship of over 6 decades is taking on a new shape, yet the values and the commitment remain the same. The standard gauge railway is one example of what this future could look like. Swedish companies bringing technical solutions, the Swedish Export Credit Agency providing guarantees, the Swedish Export Credit Corporation delivering long-term financing, Swedfund supporting the railway's environmental and social work, SIDA building ESG capacity through the International Council of Swedish Industry. That is Swedish institutions and companies working with Tanzania in concert, not as donors, but as partners in a shared investment. That is Team Sweden, the shape of what comes next. And perhaps even, there's already a word for the kind of friends these 2 countries shall remain.
I would say that the relationship between Tanzania and Sweden, or described in one word, is washikaji. You know, that buddy, that friend, that close person who is willing to walk your good days and your bad days along with you. I think Sweden has been like that for Tanzania. A certain closeness that is built on shared values, but also on a mutual desire for both parties to thrive, to do well together. So that's how I see the Swedish, like Tanzania's washikaji.